I was getting for you guys is I feel like this, for the next 2 weeks at least, it is really important for you to re-examine emotional connections that are not good for you, that you are finding it very difficult to end and to break, okay? So those are that's like the phrase that I'm getting in terms of hearing messages coming through. Emotional ties that are really difficult to break. And sometimes, emotional ties are just that. You have a lot of loyalty to people. If you've known someone for a very, very long time too, you make a lot of concessions for them, and they might not be good for you. So it's just something to think about, all right? I feel as well there are some obstacles when it comes to communication, when it comes to like pursuing, like having some type of emotional connection with another person. I feel like you long for that, you yearn for it, but it seems like there might be people in your life that are very, very hard to establish emotional connections with. They might not be bad people. It's just, they operate in a different way. They express themselves, affection and things like that in a different way. They might flirt in a different way. So it's just to be mindful that people express themselves very differently from what you're used to. So if you want to establish that emotional connection with them, share and reveal things about yourselves and then ask them a lot of questions so that they can start to open up to you, okay? So that's my advice here. And it's funny, this card has shown up for a lot of the signs. And I don't do all the readings in one day, and it just keeps showing up, and especially in the crowning position or the outcome position. So I feel like there is somebody in your life that you might not have meaningful emotional connections with, and you're trying to find ways either to fix it or to walk out altogether. And let me just see what's going on in terms of other people. I feel like the people are all showing up in the upright position, so it would be in your best interest to try to work it out. And it's funny because the people are like different signs as well. And sometimes the challenges comes through when we are dealing with people of a different sign, okay? First of all, I have an air sign, Aquarius, Gemini, Libra, and then I have some water signs, Pisces, Cancer, Scorpio. You are a fire sign, so you're very directed, you're very driven, and you're very like vocal, affectionate, and like just expressive in the way that you show affection, in the way that you show anger, in the ways that you show feelings, okay? You're dealing with an air sign who is not very emotionally in tune. So for example, when they're angry, they're not going to express that they're angry. They need to take some time off to figure out, why am I angry? So they don't really have a ready framework when it comes to dealing with like a broad spectrum of feelings. So, they might go from 0 to 60 with like anger, and then they realize, oh, that was a little bit too intense. Whereas you work in gradation. You were just like, okay, you don't get fired up even though you're a fire sign. I feel like you understand why you're angry and you don't fly off the handle, whereas they, as an air sign, they're, especially as a night energy, they're very directed, so they might like fly off the handle without really knowing why. Okay. And additionally, if you're dealing with water signs, so Pisces, Cancer, Scorpio, water signs are very, very receptive to feelings. So if you're dealing with a water sign and you get really angry, they mirror you and they get also very worked up and angry. And the thing about water signs is if they're angry, if they're jealous, if they're upset, whatever it is that they're feeling, I feel like they tend to retreat to figure out their feelings, and they're trying to find out, am I mirroring somebody else or are these my feelings? So you're dealing with signs that are not emotionally, I would say water signs are very emotionally in touch, but when they feel a certain way, sometimes they need to take a step back to sort out their feelings. Whereas like with air signs, they tend to rationalize it, or they tend to like want to talk out everything. And when you're upset with someone, you might just want to fly off the handle, or you don't want to have a discussion about feelings, but the people you're dealing with are forcing you to have discussions about feelings. Okay, so that's what that's what I'm sensing. I was going to say that's what I'm feeling, but the people around you want to sit and have a discussions about feelings, and it would be really good for you. I feel like it would be very therapeutic for you to do it. You might not want to, but I do sense it would be beneficial for you to understand where they're coming from. Approach this with an open mind. I know that for a lot of fire signs, when it comes to like, okay, let's sit down and talk about our feelings, it sounds very lame, it sounds very cheesy to a lot of you, but you also have to understand that you're not operating on the same wavelength. So talking about your feelings will allow you two to basically, um, I guess, like connect in the same wavelength. So it's really important to be open-minded when someone tells you they want to have a talk about feelings, okay? Or likewise, if you want to have a talk about something that you feel is important, no matter what it is, no matter how silly it is to other people, it would hurt you to for them to be dismissive, right? So this is the month in which you need to be very, very careful about how people express what they feel is important to them. And while it might not be important to you, it would be really uh, pertinent for you to suppress the ego and the immediate need to say, that's lame, and just sit and work through it. I know it's frustrating. I feel like it's really frustrating, but I feel that it would provide some major breakthroughs for a lot of you. Okay, I definitely feel a situation that has been problematic needs to be revisited, and I feel like having some type of an emotional discussion is going to create a new passage for you and a significant other in a relationship. It is going to solidify a relationship. It is going to make a relationship a lot more meaningful, a lot more soulful. I feel it's going to make you uncomfortable, but you have to really bear with it. Unfortunately, Leos, you are going to have to. I feel like a lot of you might be, in a therapist's office and they're forcing you to talk about your feelings. And you're just like, what's there to talk about? Everything is pretty much black and white. There's a right and wrong. But things are not always like cleanly demarcated that way. It's life. Things get messy. When we deal with other people, things tend to be very, multidimensional. And there's like different sides to the story, different ways to relate, different ways to express emotions. So don't be so quick to dismiss things. Whatever it is that makes you uncomfortable, just know that these are the things that make us uncomfortable, or the things that we really need to address anyways. So I feel some itchiness, like discomfort coming through from your end. Card. This is basically having a falling out with another person, not being able to work together as a unit, not seeing eye to eye with another person. And this is basically two people that care about one another. They have a very strong friendship foundation, at least. Or, they have like, I feel like it's a significant relationship. It's a very, very significant relationship that you invest a lot of time in. You trust the other person, but for some reason you can't get the relationship to work, okay? It can be a business partnership too. So whatever relationship it is, it's somebody who's very different from you. So be patient. What's coming in is the Knight of Swords. And the Knight of Swords, this is somebody who is potentially an air sign, Aquarius, Gemini, Libra. And Aquarius is your polar opposite, so you're going to encounter difficulties in dealing with Aquarius, okay? If you're not dealing with an Aquarius, if you're dealing with Libra and Gemini, I feel like it's the same type of energy where they're very intellectually inclined and they feel with their brain. And I know it seems weird, and if you're having difficulty understanding that phrase, maybe it's important to sit down and have a talk about your feelings. So I know this is not something that you want to hear, Leos, but I feel like it is going to provide some tremendous breakthrough in how you deal with this relationship, okay? It's going to be really beneficial for you. So the thing here is that just know that you might not have all the information, and just know that other people are trying to work together with you. So it would be really important to sit and listen. And I also feel what else is coming through as well. There's going to be a little bit of anger issues that you need to curb. And I do sense it's coming from you or the other person. But, the other person is showing up here. They're kind of smiling. The things they say might initially rub you the wrong way, but you have to really like take a step back, not get too angry, and try to figure out, why did you say that? And then tell them, can you not say that because it's hurtful because of, explain yourself, okay? Because of such and such, whatever that might be. And I feel like if you're dealing with an air sign and if you explain yourself in a way that makes sense, they will get it and they will try to be careful with what they say. Additionally, the same energy applies for water signs if you're dealing with them. Water signs understand, embarrassment. They understand pain. They understand emotions. So if you like explain yourself in a way where it's like, can you not say that because it makes me feel belittled, for example. Use, concrete words that explain proper emotions. Don't just say, I'm really upset that you said that without a follow-up. Just say like, oh, don't say that because it makes me feel unappreciated. It makes me feel undermined because of such and such. They will get it, okay? So it's really important for you to really delve deep into that emotional, closet to really flush out, why do I feel a certain way? What are some of the words that I can use to describe this exact feeling? Getting in touch with your feelings and finding the right vocabulary and the right way to express it is going to be really instrumental for you to progress with your relationships, especially relationships that have been problematic, okay? Now, what's crossing this situation here is the Ace of Cups. And the Ace of Cups, once again, I am getting the message that you have a very significant relationship or a person in your life that you love to death, but you can't get it to work. You can't get them to be emotionally expressive. And I feel like you've tried everything. You feel as if I've tried everything to get them to show them that I'm interested even, or to let them know how I feel, but they don't get it. And it's because you're approaching it from different, elements. That's what I'm sensing here. So the foundation here is the Ten of Cups, which is the lack of emotional nourishment, the lack of emotional stability. And I'm sensing for a lot of you, you're feeling this, and you're feeling as if, you're feeling as if somebody is not careful with their words, and they might cut you down without meaning to. Okay, so you feel like on the defense around them, and you feel like they're a little bit harsh with their words, but you know deep down that they're good people and that they care about you. And likewise, deep down, you know that you have a very strong connection, but for some reason the emotional aspect is not apparent. It's kind of like it's hard for them to show affection. It's hard for you both to like have an emotional connection. That's the only way that I can explain it. And so in terms of the things that you're doing to make the situation better, is we have the Fool. This is basically re-engaging with the same strategy, with the same method, doing the same things over and over and over again and expecting different results. So let's be a little bit more creative here. And I feel like whatever you've been doing in the past, you might need either a third party to intervene. You might, if you've been like just, going at it, like just arguing, I feel that it would be beneficial for you to write down your feelings, to write down, just approach it in a different way. Maybe if you're dealing with like an air sign, writing things down on paper would be very beneficial for them because they're very intellectually inclined. They think with their heads, so having something written down and having them read it and having them like feel it, I think would be more beneficial. If you're dealing with a water sign, and water signs, when they're hurt, they tend to withdraw. And it's kind of like when you're hurt, you lash out. And when they're hurt, they withdraw. So you're like pushing forward and they're retreating. And there's that emotional distance. So you need a mediator, especially with a water sign. It would be really important for you to get a mediator, find a different way to approach this situation, because I feel like the relationship is not over yet. It's just really difficult to have an emotional connection, to see things from the same perspective. So you need some type of mediation, or you need a different way to relate and to connect to another person. What's coming through in terms of the advice here? We have the Tower in the reverse position. Um, in this situation, I feel almost as if a lot of you are in a relationship and you feel like it's just not working. It's too much work. I put in so much stock in it and I'm not getting the emotional fulfillment that I want. And a lot of you are thinking pretty much that, it's the end of the line. I need to I need to like just cut my losses and move on. And the advice here is that I feel that the other person, if you are the one kind of trying to walk away, the other person is sincere in that they want things to work, okay? We have external to you is the Ten of Swords in the reverse position. The Ten of Swords is usually a situation that we think is like dead and gone, and now it's coming back. I don't feel this is a situation where exes are coming back. I don't sense that. I definitely feel it's a situation where something that you thought you can leave behind should be revisited, because the other people around you are showing up in the upright position, which means that they're honest, they're sincere, they want something to work, they want a situation to turn around for the better. They want to collaborate with you, they want to reconnect with you, reconcile, or even they want to work together as a unit, because you have a very strong bond in the past and the situation is going to turn around for the better. So don't cut your losses just yet. Really reinvest in this. Get a third party. See a therapist if you need to. Get some type of intervention going so that you can like at least connect to one another in the right way, in the proper, in the mature way. So if you've been dealing with a lot of arguments in the past and things are just like, it's like hitting your head against a brick wall, I feel creative ways of connecting, socializing, talking. There's just no way around it, okay? Hopes and fears. This is a card about the Aries energy. This rules the head and this rules the ego. So this is a very emotionally charged, I feel like, discussions that are coming through. You are being blocked from leaving the situation until you resolve it. Unfortunately, that's what I'm seeing here, because I feel like there is like backwards movement that needs to happen in order for you to clear up some um, either emotional issues, emotional trauma. There's something in the past that needs to be revisited so that you can have some type of breakthrough, okay? So that you can have some type of emotional like epiphany so that you can move forward. You can't move forward until it's resolved. So unfortunately, Leos, I'm very sorry to deliver this message, but I feel like something is making a comeback. It needs to be revisited so that you can move on, so that you can become a better person, all right? And it seems to me like it's uncomfortable, but it's not detrimental. So go back to it, fix it. Get a third party involved if you need to, like a therapist, see a counselor, see a marriage counselor. For those of you who are dealing with this in a romantic or even in a marriage situation, okay? So something needs to be, a breakthrough needs to happen here for you to have a better outcome. Otherwise, you will repeat the same pattern with the next relationship partner. So something needs to be flushed out, resolved, untangled before you can move forward. And it's going to require that you do the work. And you never shy from doing the work anyways. But I do sense that in this situation, it's been frustrating, okay? And I feel like a lot of frustration. But I do sense the other people are sincere and honest. And, they are interested in some type of reconciliation, all right? Now, in terms of the outcome position, you have very, very good cards. I see some emotional breakthrough happening for those who are willing to do the work. I see a sense of like optimism in terms of future. I see you and your significant other or somebody else connecting greatly on an emotional level. Okay, so I feel some major epiphanies coming through for you if you are putting in the effort to do the work. And the other side, I feel them reciprocating. I feel like they're going to be there to